welcome to our YouTube channel. So now today we are going to talk about Neuralink, merging man and machine. Now comes the introduction. Brain is composed of neurons that connect together and forms a network that can talk to each other through synapses. So there are connection points between neurons, and the communication using chemical signals is known as neurotransmitters. All of your senses, everything you experience in life, it's all just neurons firing electrical signals that are otherwise known as action potentials. So when neuron spikes occur, these neurotransmitters are released. Information is then relayed across synapses, eventually reaches another neural net. Multiply this process by 100 billion, and that's where your brain in nutshell electrodes are the way that Neuralink and other medical practices study your brain activity. By placing these electrodes close to the neurons, the action potentials that create electric fields inside your brain can be detected and transferred to a machine that records and measures the data. Neuralink plans to use this to its advantage. Your brain has two main systems, basically your limbic system and your cortex. So these two are in a relationship with each other. Your limbic system is responsible for your basic emotions, your survival instinct. So then your cortex is responsible for your problem solving skills and your critical thinking. So it's where all your consciousness exists. Neuralink is aiming to create a third layer to its. The implants will be a third wheel in this relationship that would increase our capabilities by multiplying the orders of magnitude. They plan to increase the number of neurons that you can access regularly, that you can use to remember things or regain access to certain parts of your brain that may no longer be active. So this is extremely useful for medical patients, some of which had absolutely zero options until the Neuralink became a reality. The goal is to make this one of the most simple procedures that is similar to people getting LASIK to improve vision. Then comes the BMI. BMI is brain machine interface. So why do we even need this in the first place? Well, in most cases it's a bandwidth issue. Now many people hear this but don't exactly understand what that actually means. It's a speed problem. The energy problem is how fast you can get information into or out of your brain. If you have something that you want to write down on a computer, you have to type it with your hands or speak into a microphone. That's probably going to mess it up, right? So if you would like to find out something, it could take days, weeks, months, or even years to complete grasp. If we were ready to solve this problem or this bandwidth issue, we could accomplish exponentially more in less time with much less physical effort. So it cuts down the middleman and allows input and output directly from your brain to whatever you're doing on a machine, or the other way around. So it's like going from writing using a quill, having a pencil, having a keyboard, to having Siri, to not potentially having nothing but the power of your own brain. This is where brain-machine interfaces come in, and they change everything. A brain-machine interface, or the BMI, is composed of two things, a brain and a machine. The machine might be anything: a phone, a computer, a bionic arm, anything that provides you with a sensory input from the outside world or an external source. So these inputs are then returned back to your brain where you could process them. But you need something is artificial in your head to return this data to know. So it's not like putting a CPU inside your head. It's actually quite tiny. Each neural link and one chip is roughly 4 by 4 millimeters with 1000 electrodes each. It's feasible to fit up to 10 of these inside your head in different areas to measure and affect different parts of your brain. Companies and the neurosurgeons are like, can't just go around throwing anything they want in someone's head, right? So it's usually a lengthy process to getting these things approved by the FDA for medical purposes and later on for the public use also. So BMI contains a potential to help people with a wide range of clinical disorders by just using 256 electrodes for about 2.5% of the number of electrodes. Neuropathic eventually plans to use human patients have been able to control computer cursors, robotic limbs, and speech synthesizers. The complete potential with nearly 40 times the quantity of electrodes. It's tough to imagine. Currently, the simplest FDA approved BMI is employed for Parkinson's patients, and it has only 10 electrodes. For Neuralink, this is just the beginning, and it's already 1000 times better than what is currently approved in version 1. Each electrode is inserted into your head via tiny threads that are roughly 5 micrometers thick. They are around 10 times smaller than a human hair, 1000 832 electrodes, each is roughly the same size as a neuron, which is a good idea. So there is a particular size limit for things that you simply want to stay in your head. Something overly large is inevitably going to cause problems, right? So the smaller, the higher. Actually, Neuralink made a robot that will insert these with extreme precision, which is just about mandatory. Humans couldn't do if they wanted. The size of the chip inserted in your brain is very small. It's very small. It's roughly equivalent to the tip of your thumb size. You really couldn't see it because the robot inserts each thread one by one. Within the end, there could eventually be up to 10,000 of those electrodes inside your head, each liable for recording separate neurons which may later on be analyzed. So they will also input files. It is a street. It's kind of like having the ability to upload and download things from your brain. Brain implants aren't exactly new either, though that goes far back to the 1950s. Carrying implants are the honest example. Neuralink just plans to require the baton and continue down the trail, but in a different way. Another BMI has approached things differently for deep brain stimulation. Type of implants that were owned to assist Parkinson's patient. You read, we have actually discussed it before. They essentially use larger stiff needles that were just about showed into the brain to affect the neural activity, even as the electrodes from Neuralink. It works well, but there is a pretty high probability that complications will occur over time, seizures, strokes, and even more. It's going to fix one issue, but it's probable that multiple other issues will show up. So see, your brain isn't like, it's not still inside your head. It moves around with you. You may think that you're sitting still, but your brain moves with each breath, each heartbeat. This is often watching cost issues, and it's why robot is required for nearly every procedure to achieve this success. So next comes the Neuralink. So the Neuralink is taking a different approach, and it really isn't even a huge surgery. Your head isn't going to be completely peeled open for these chips to be inserted. Each chip will be inserted into your head through a small incision of 8 millimeters at most. So less than a centimeter to be more precise. So you won't need stitches, you will not need any of that. It's hardly a surgery at all. By the way, those chips that are inserted in your head are completely wireless, as you could probably hope. So the craziest things of all is that you won't need to go to the hospital or random place to hook yourself up with these interfaces. There's no USB port protruding from your head. You won't need a caretaker or anyone to help you with the use of single wireless battery powered computer behind your ear that will actually be able to connect you to a smartphone, effectively making your phone a politician will be a part of you. The options and potentials for this technology are limitless, and it's only going to improve over time. Now, I don't want to overreach here and throw out ideas that are impossible, right? So I won't, but I'll give you some solid uses and some pretty cool ideas for Neuralink that can actually become a reality one day. Trust me. So first let me say this. I used a laptop to write this article, and our IT team at StudyMonk actually they published this article on our site. But in order to do these things, I need to use my own hands. I need to use a mouse. I need to use a keyboard to get these things done. But the Neuralink may be able to change this. If a patient is able to control an arm with his or her mind, then it's not unfeasible to believe that one day you may be able to control the characters and video games with your brain, as well as considering it's all Bluetooth or wireless. It is not too much of a stretch task. This is coupled with advancements in virtual reality will cause video games and even potentially films to become at most almost fully immersive. So let's take an example of where Neuralink technology could be used in a pretty cool yet practical way. So let's say you're planning to take a month-long trip to Tokyo. You are an American, and as most Americans speak only one language, we will not have any idea to get around the city that does not have street signs or directions completely in English. So, but luckily, your link can help us out there. Imagine there's a Tokyo local who's lived their entire life looking at the action potentials of that particular person, studying their neuron space in a region of their brain called the hippocampus, and which order they occur. You can trace out a path throughout the whole city from where these where these neurons spike. So then once the state is put into your brain, you will be able to traverse the city like you've lived there your entire life. Telepathy is not it's not any longer unrealistic. The electrode implants that detect neural signals wirelessly transmit the data back to tiny computer behind your ear. So the idea is transferring data back and forth between these two places is relatively simple to imagine. But because these electrodes can both read and write data, you could theoretically communicate back and forth between people who also have the neural implants. Now at the moment, the technology isn't exactly closing to make this happen. Okay, so it may be a word or two, but in theory it was enough improvement. It is possible for high bandwidth communication between two people using nothing but their minds. It may be an aggressive approach, as Elon Musk says. He also mentioned that we can see people with neural links by the end of 2020. Now we are going to see about the way of life in Neuralink. Once the implant trials are completed, improvements will be slowly added. Honestly, we can see this becoming a big and common practice within the next couple of decades. You always hear that there is new technology coming out that will change our lives. The above statement is made by futurists and tech researchers. If this is often taken seriously, it can add the ways we are studying and planning on the instant. We can see this as an invention that is on the scale of internet. It will change the world, the way the airplanes impacted travel, the way antibiotics impacted medicine. Computers and the internet threw us into brand new digital age phones, and computers have become extensions of human beings. It's only up from there. The mobile and computers can answer almost any question you could ask at the moment's notice. They have both been pivotal in connecting the entire planet. The minds like one Neuralink or creating are going to have similar and honestly even larger effect than that. As time goes on, as we enter a new decade, the technology that was passed off as unrealistic becomes more and more plausible. Things that we have written off as impossible, and that being the same things that push society forward. Airplanes, rocket, medicine, all things that used to be seen as wizardry or some voodoo magic are not things that we use every single day. As Neuralink progresses and gets better and better, as a cultural impact will grow larger and larger, kids being born today will grow up in a world vastly different than one we are living now. The same way that we are living through a time vastly different than the previous generations. We'll make mistakes along the way. The past shows that pretty well. However, humans overcome, we adapt, and we move forward. If you think we are living in the peak of digital age, you have no idea what's around the corner. Now comes the big Gertrude. On August 28, 2020, Musk posted a live stream with updates on his company Neuralink progress towards making brain-machine interface. A pig named Gertrude was inserted with the latest version of the chip. 2 months prior, and her device monitored neurons that represented personnel. Whenever the pig or the handler touched down, a screen showed activity in her brain spiking while making little beeps and beeps. Neuralink started testing with eggs because of their similar sculpt thickness and membrane makeup, but there were some unexpected benefits like the fact that they bump into things constantly, which Musk said it was a good demonstration of the device integrity and the things can be trained to walk on treadmills. This allows the researcher to read neurons dealing with moving joints. Based on the readings, they could pick up accurately where the joints would move. Technology like that could be huge, or paraplegic and tetraplegia. Musk reasons that because people who are paralyzed due to the spine injury effectively had the connection between their brain and their limbs, severed their device helpful walking gait, and by decoding movement impulses and transmitting them to the other side. The Link version 0.9 uses a battery that Musk claims to last day charge wirelessly overnight, a wireless charging on something embedded in your skull. I'm not exactly sure, but I like to picture that Neuralink will develop some kind of pillow which adds a meaning to the power nap.